Hi, my name is Hanspetermeyer, and today I'm talking with Alison Mewett. Alison is a landscape architect. You worked for local government, you've been in private practice, you've been in the valley for 16 years, you live here on Lazo Peninsula. I met Alison 17 years ago at one of the first charrette type activities or participatory planning exercises that I'd ever been involved in, where we redrew downtown Courtenay, and that was a really exciting project. Kind of an example of a number of things that have happened since. The most recent being the Living City project that you worked on with Tom Dishlavoy. That team basically created a vision for the Comox Valley that, I don't know, it's all about sustainability and stuff. So it's pretty cool to watch it happen, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. And you guys are going to do a public presentation at some point about it?
I hope so. I think we'll probably do several, I'm hoping we'll do several public projects or presentations.
Right.
Yeah, so there'll be several venues.
But I'm not talking to you today about that.
Yeah.
I'm talking today about the Comox Valley Land Trust. You're a member of the board.
I am.
You've been a member for a year.
Yes.
Right. And you were invited onto the board by Vivian Dean, who was quite active for a while with that organization. But what, why the Land Trust?
The Land Trust is involved in a number of things that I think are really interesting. I mean, they do all the traditional land trust kind of work, which is currently we hold 11 covenants on about 400 acres of land. But they're also involved in a number of other things which I think are really exciting. They have a good relationship with developers. They have a scorecard process which helps developers evaluate. We evaluate developers' projects and give them a scorecard to encourage them to be more green, to develop in a more environmentally friendly way. They also have built up a relationship with the City of Courtenay, for example, so that the city refers development proposals to CVLT, and again we review them and make comments directly back to them to make them more green.
Why aren't you just about trying to save land, though?
Well, the reality is that there's not enough money available in the world to save all the land, all the bits of green space in the Comox Valley that should be protected. So, in a lot of cases, the best way to protect the environment is if we develop it in a way that's green, that's environmentally friendly, that protects the functions that exist on the land to start with. Mm-hmm. So we maintain the hydrology, for example.
What is that? What's hydrology? What does that mean?
The hydrology is how the water lands on the land and how it gets through the land, if you like, or across the land to the ocean. In this case, in the Comox Valley, we get about 4 feet of rain a year. That's quite a lot of rain.
Right.
And so.
And you get a lot less of it here on the Lazo Peninsula.
We get a little bit less here than Cumberland, for example. Yeah. But in all cases, and in different places in the Comox Valley function in slightly different ways. Some places drain very well. We're sitting here on 60 feet of sand or so, and so here it drains very, very well. In other places, the soil surface is very shallow, and so the water table is very close to the surface. And anyway, so the hydrology is how the water.
That's where you get flooding.
That's where you get flooding.
So the idea is that you do development where you've got good drainage, and you don't put it where you've got flooding potential. Is that kind of a rule of thumb, or?
Well, the best places to develop are places that drain well. Mm. And the interesting thing, of course, is that the people who first settled in the Comox Valley, they knew. They were very good at reading the land. They looked around and said, there's a place that drains well, there's a place that doesn't, and guess where they built? They built where the land drained well.
Right. But
unfortunately,
they didn't have big pipes, and they didn't have a civic infrastructure to pay for it.
Exactly. So, I mean, common sense. You build where you're not going to have problems. And unfortunately now what we're finding is that those bits of land that were left over are the ones that now are getting the highest development pressure. And those are the bits that are the most difficult to develop in a way that is not harmful. So it's really critical that that we, the developers, the city, whatever municipality, understand how the land works, and then make sure that if they insist on developing in those places, that it's done in a way that is not going to end up harming the environment. And by harming the environment, I'm talking about flooding and erosion problems downstream,
right,
in the creeks, and the reality is virtually every creek in the Comox Valley has erosion and higher frequency and higher flood events now because of development upstream that has caused that, because it storm drains dumping water into creeks, for example, instead
right,
of putting the water back in the ground.
So, and I think that has an impact on downstream property values and too, or at least certainly your taxes, right? I mean, then you end up paying for flood damage and then having to do reparation around that. So the theory is if we did smarter development in the long term, it would be less costly to us as taxpayers and municipalities. Is that
Absolutely,
fair?
it would be less costly. I mean, there's a good example in Comox. A couple of years ago, they put in a large detention system on Brooklyn Creek in fortunately it was a park, so they owned the land, and just downstream from Guy Sims' farm, and that was to deal with storm flows that have been created from development upstream in the headwaters of the system. Previously, Brooklyn Creek managed to deal with the water just fine without
Right.
any intervention, but it's been hemmed in, and it's been too much water's been added to the system upstream, and
So no development should have happened at the headwaters?
no, I'm not suggesting that no development take place, but certainly I think the stormwater should have been handled in a different way.
And there's a way to do that.
There is definitely a way to do that.
Right.
And we are slowly moving to that model. It's referred to as the rain balance or rainwater balance model, and
Right.
it means basically putting the water back in the ground.
Right.
I kind of lean towards, if you can't deal with the stormwater on site,
Right.
then maybe it's not a good site to build.
Hmm.
In most cases, you can deal with it on site, and if you can't, it probably means it's an area that's just should be left alone.
So the land trust is actually involved in this kind of a discussion, this kind of a debate, or moving this kind of a process forward, a greener development. It's not just about preserving land; it's about
No,
being
we're
smarter
definitely
about it.
involved in those discussions, and I think it's a testament to the work that's been done by previous board members that they've built up enough support, I guess, or a cachet in the community that they're considered
Right.
good people to go to ask for advice or to ask their opinions. You know, they have some authority, and I'm not sure what the other word would be for cachet, but
Reputation.
reputation.
Yeah. Well, things like the Nature of the Borders report, which I always hear good things about, certainly are part of that. Now, we've got about a minute left in our little chat here. Can you what can someone like me who lives on Willamar Avenue and who isn't active with the Land Trust organization or any other kind of stewardship group, what can we do to support what you're doing?
Well, probably one of the first things is to become a member of the Land Trust. Apart from anything else, it shows our numbers show support, and that's good. Also, it's not very expensive, but it also does help us to maintain the work that we do. And the other really important one is to get out and vote. There's a number of groups in the Comox Valley who are trying to get the question about conservation and sustainability and the environment in front of people who are going to be running for election in November, and it's important to know where those people stand. At the moment, all the municipalities have said they support Nature Without Borders, that they support conservation and environmental protection, but we need to make sure that where the rubber hits the road, that they actually make decisions that actually do support that policy. And so it's really critical. It's really important who we elect in all of our municipalities.
So become a member of the Comox Valley Land Trust, and the website will be on this video and on the post. And vote thinking about these kinds of issues. Think about conservation.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Alison.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching.